Like based on your criteria, your requirement conditions, you will pick the correct collection for you. So if you want unique elements, you will pick set. If you want key value pairs, you will pick map. So the generics will allow you to create type safe classes and methods. You see, this is now type safe. You already know, the system already knows that it is of type string. If you try to fetch something else out of it, you'll get the issue on compile time only. So it will prevent you from the runtime issues. Now let's talk about the common mistakes that we do while using the collections in the backend. Welcome to the backend course. Hi, I'm Mohit Sabda, ex Salesforce, ex Walmart, and in today's video we will discuss about collections and generics, and that would be specific to backend development, which means we won't cover each and everything related to collections and generics, but instead of doing that, we will talk about collections and generics which we would use in day-to-day life while doing backend development. Let's first understand why collections and generics are critical for backend development. It is because in backend system, you often fetch the data from DB and store it in objects, then manipulate or filter it, and then finally return it as a JSON. So we do a lot of data handling. So in this, collections are helpful. These can be used to easily fetch, store, manipulate, filter, and then return the data as a JSON. By using collections and generics, we can easily cache the data in memory by using maps or sets. These are also used to process the large list. For example, in APIs, we want paginated results, sorting, searching data. So in all such things, collections and generics would be very helpful. Last but not the least, you avoid boilerplate code by writing type safe reusable code using generics. For example, fetching all the data from the database and keeping it in the list of user for processing before returning it as API response. Now let's take a look to collections overview specific to backend. So mainly we will talk about list, map, set, and queue. These are the key interfaces which are part of java.util package. So firstly, talking about the list, you might have heard about ArrayList and LinkedList. You might also have solved a lot of questions related to LinkedList in data structures and algorithms. So list is an ordered collection which allows duplicates. When we talk about set, it does not allow duplicates. So when we want unique elements, we can use set. Common implementations of set include HashSet, linked HashSet, TreeSet. Then we have a map, which is a collection of key value pairs. In map, each of the key is unique. Common implementations include HashMap. You might have already used HashMap in data structures and algorithm questions. Apart from HashMap, we also have linked HashMap, tree map. Then we have queue or DQ. So we have structures here like FIFO, LIFO. FIFO means first in, first out, whereas LIFO means last in, first out, which we use in stacks. So some of the common implementations include linked list, priority queue, array DQ. So if we talk about the summary of these, list, ordered collection which allows duplicate. Set, collection of unique elements, that is no duplicates. Map, collection of key value pairs where keys are unique. QDQ, it follows FIFO or LIFO structure. Okay, so enough of theory. Let's see some of the example of these collections. So I have taken two examples here. One is for the list and other one is for the map. So let's first check the list example. You can see here we have implemented ArrayList here. The type of list here is user, which is, you can say, a DTO or model class. Then we will add the elements to the list. So we are adding a user here, created a new user with name John and email ID. Similarly, we have then added another user here. We have done some filtering and processing here, which we can ignore for now. Our main focus is on the collections and the generics here. This was an example of the list. Now let's see an example of map. So here you can see this is map, as it is key value pair type. So the key is of type string and the value is user, which is the model or DTO. Now this implementation is of HashMap. You can see here HashMap. Then we are putting the elements in the map. So first we put user map dot put, there is this key john@example.com, and then we put an user for that. Similarly we do another entry, this is the key and this is the value. So maps are generally very useful as it can reduce the latency. How? Because the best case scenario to search something in the map is of time complexity O of 1. I'm talking about the best case as it is key value pair based. So when we talk about caching also, Redis, we generally use Redis, that is also key value based system. So these were the example of list and map collection. Now let's also see one example of set. So you can see we are using a set here which is of type string, and we are implementing HashSet here. The main role of using set is that it does not allow duplicates. There would be only unique elements. So for example, you can see first we add admin to the hash set, then we add user. When we try to add admin again to this hash set, it will be ignored as it is a duplicate. We already have admin in the hash set. So next time we try to add admin again, as this is a duplicate, it will be simply ignored. So when you print the hash set, you will get admin and user. So you can see it has completely ignored the second time we tried to add admin because it was a duplicate. So the main funda of set is that it only allows unique elements. Any duplicates will be ignored. Why I wanted to show you this example was like based on your criteria, your requirement conditions, you will pick the correct collection for you. So if you want unique elements, you will pick set. If you want key value pair, you will pick map. So this was about the collections in backend development. Now let's also talk about the generics in backend development. Okay, talking about generics, before going through all this theory, I'll show you some code examples so that you get better understanding, because this playlist we want to understand the backend in terms of coding. It's not only we know the theory but we are not able to code, right? We want to learn backend development in terms of coding. So let's see first examples, then we will come back to this theory as it will make more sense. Okay, so this is the code without using generics, right? So we are talking about Java here. So this is a list and this is the reference of the list we have kept. We have just mentioned new array list. You can see we have not specified any type here. What is the type of the list? We just mentioned list and then the name of the list, and we have initialized it as new array list but no type. Like what is it? String or some DTO model class? We have not mentioned that. So this is without generics. Okay, so after that we are adding something to the list. So we are here adding a string to the list. Next what we are doing is like we are fetching something from the list. So we have done string name equal to list.get the element at index 0 or the first element, right? But we also need to add the type casting here. So we are doing manual casting here, which would be required without generics. So you can clearly see here there is a lot of probability that we can mess it up because we are manually doing things. So at the runtime we may get class cast exception if we are not doing things properly, as we are doing manual casting here. Now let's see an example with the use of generics. Okay, the same thing we will write using generics. Again the same list we have mentioned here, but we have also specified the type of the list, like what all elements will be present in the list. We have mentioned string here. If you see here, we did not mention anything here, we just wrote list. So this is the use of generics. This is where generics is coming into picture. We have specified it initially, then you have the name of the list, then you are writing same new array list, and then you are just passing this. You can either write this empty brackets or you can also put string in it. Anything is fine, but because string we have already mentioned in the list part, so it is not required. So we can simply pass the empty brackets here. So you can see this difference here. We have passed string in the brackets. That is the role of generics. And then the same thing we are doing, adding John here and then fetching it, string name equal to names.get. But you see here we are not using any manual casting. So we are not mentioning here now that we want a string. So no casting is needed because we already did while initialization. So this is the use of generics. Now let me take you back to the theory part where you will understand it more. So the generics will allow you to create type safe classes and methods. You see, this is now type safe. You already know, the system already knows that it is of type string. If you try to fetch something else out of it, you'll get the issue on compile time only. So it will prevent you from the runtime issues like the class cast exception, which can happen without the use of generics. And you don't even need to do manual casting, right? So all these things generics is helping you. Also improves the code readability. Valid point, because say you are fetching from the list multiple times in different places and you're writing string, casting again, that is not a good readability. So it improves the readability as well. So you can clearly see it adds a lot of value to the code. Now let's see another example of generics where we will handle multiple entities without repeating any code. So you can see here, this is an interface named as repository, and then we have used the generics here. We have made it generic using the generics. So you can see this is the method name, but again the type we have mentioned as T, but again the type we have kept it generic. Here again you can see the return type of the method we have kept it generic. Now this class user repository implements this interface and it passes user in it. So you can see the clear benefit of using the generics here. And now in this class we do the handling for this user. So particular to this user we can do the handling. So it makes the code really reusable. So you can handle multiple entities in it. You can do it for the product entity, for the order entity, etc. So all the common things, like for example the exception handling or the base things, you can use generics in that part to generalize your code so that you don't need to repeat the code again and again. So here you can see I'm not talking about the very basics of all these things because this playlist is about the backend development course. But in case you want to know more about it, put that in the comment section and I'll create a separate video in detail for each and everything related to collections and the generics. Now let's talk about the common mistakes that we do while using the collections in the backend. First one is a concurrent modification exception. You might have already encountered it while doing your development work. An example could be like you are removing something from the list while you were iterating on it. Now talking about the fix for the same, you can use iterator.remove or you can use remove if. So this one was pitfall number 1. Now let's talk about number 2. It's like null keys in the map. So the hash map allows it, but tree map does not. So you need to make sure that you don't add the null key while using the tree map. Let's talk about number 3 point, which is wrong data structure choice. Of course, in the beginning I mentioned it to you. Every collection has its own set of properties. So depending on what you really want to do, the situation, the requirement, you need to pick the correct collection. You might already have done some of the questions in data structures and algorithms, and when you're asked a question, it's important that you pick the right data structure which is required as per the question. So based on your requirement, you choose the collection which fulfills your requirements the most. Number 4, not using generics. If you don't use generics, it can lead to casting errors. We also talked about the runtime exceptions. So it's always good to use collections and generics while doing your backend development. In terms of interviews as well, it is important, like we talked about step 3, which was like wrong data structure choice. I can give you some examples related to it. Say you want to store the user session in memory and search it quickly. So what you can use for it? Map, as map is key value pair based, and the best case for search time complexity in map is O of 1. Another example, your requirement is to keep the task in priority. You can use priority queue for that. So choosing the right data structure or collection, it's very important. It's also important when you talk in terms of interviews, right? After this, let's talk about point number 4, which is the common pitfall, not using the generics. If you don't use generics, it can lead to casting errors. You may also get runtime exceptions. So it's always advisable to use generics and collections while doing your backend development. Alright, I hope you got good understanding of the collections and generics, why to use these in your backend development. If you have any questions, put that in the comment section. I'll try to help you out. If you found this video helpful, press the like button and share it with your friends so that all of us can learn and grow together. Alright then, this is Mohit Chabra signing off. Subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching.